textile garments and wearable industry takes center stage this week as dozens of players from all over the world descend upon Manila for the country's first ever garment, leather goods, industries, and fabric expo. We've heard it before, like many manufacturing ventures, the garments and textiles industry has struggled to keep up with Asian competitors like China and Vietnam, who offered pretty much the same quality of work at a much more competitive cost. Has the trend reversed, and what are some of the efforts initiated to revive this promising industry? Joining us now from our studio here would be Andrew K., Managing Director of CP Exhibition, and Raymond T., an exhibitor representing Armena Embroideries. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Andrew, I want to start with you. I mean, you're the guy behind the biggest textile show in Vietnam. You started that back in 1983, 35 years. Why did you finally decide to bring it to Manila now?
In 1983, I started exhibition in China. So my first exhibition in Vietnam was in 1990.
Okay.
Yes.
And why are you bringing it to Manila now?
Because this new government, and I think your new government has very a lot of potential and good for the investor.
And of course, Raymond, you're one of the exhibitors.
Yes.
And you're actually the sole agent for a Japanese brand called Barudan Embroidery Machines.
Yes.
And you actually have samples for us here. These are some of the things that your machines can do, right?
Yeah, these are some of the few things that our machine can do. We do different types of embroideries for all types of industries in the garment industries, like for the biggest manufacturers like Nike and Adidas worldwide, even some of the local companies which are also multinationals here doing export business. They prefer to use our machines.
And so this would be both. You're catering to both the fashion apparel side plus the corporate or the uniform side. In fact, you're wearing one of the things that your machines can do.
Yeah.
So to both gentlemen, how will you describe the textile garments industry in the Philippines now? I mean, you came here 20 years ago, Andrew. How has it changed? Are we better or has it deteriorated?
I think it's deteriorating. I mean, it was much better than was now. I think now should be the bottom. And you should have the potential to go up. First of all, because of the U.S. and China relationship, probably the U.S. might tax on the China export for 25% and make the China export to U.S. shifting to Vietnam and Philippines and other Southeast Asia countries.
What about you, Raymond?
I guess I agree with Dr. Andrew that the garment industry already reached, hopefully has reached its bottom, and we have nowhere to go but up now. I think the local garments industry just needs more support from the government in terms of skills development because we have the manpower, but we just need their skills to be more upgraded, I guess, and more government support in terms of I guess upgrading also of machineries in order for us to be more competitive. I guess that's what the aim of this exhibition is for, to showcase to the whole world that Filipinos are here. We can do all the things that the world needs. And we're here, the local garments and embroideries factories in Philippines are also here to support. As long as the government works hand in hand with the private sector, I guess we'll succeed.
But with government already thinking about removing some of the incentives for these foreign investors who may be thinking of setting up shop here, how do you convince them to stay?
I'm thinking about manufacturing, the industry. So, you know, for Vietnam, 25 years ago, the Vietnam garment industry is very small. Only the government and the private sector. But the private sector only have 5 sewing machines, 10 sewing machines. But the people can start up from 10 sewing machines to now 10,000 sewing machines in 20 years. And from nothing to now one of the top in the world. I'm talking about Vietnam. I think this can be an example for Philippines. You have all the potential. The people, Filipino have the heart. You have the design. You have the feeling. You can put the feeling in the design. And I think the prospect of the garment and the fashion industry in Philippines should be much better than what is now.
But in the end, money talks. I mean, when investors look at where to put their money, they're going to look at costs. And it's not cheap here. I wanted to read a commentary from a fashion garments website, Fiber to Fashion. It said, the textile industry in the country was considered an infant. It died an infant. It was never able to produce high-quality fabrics because of excessive electricity costs.
Yes.
And not just power costs, labor costs are going up as well.
Yes.
So how do you convince others to produce here when it's more expensive?
But compare with China and compare Vietnam, I mean, they were cheap 20 years ago, but they are not cheap anymore. The wage in China and wage in Vietnam is about the same as in Philippines. So you are not that much higher.
You mentioned China because you're actually right. Their wages now, a minimum wage for factory worker there is about $3.60 per hour. That's around 190 pesos per hour. It's actually up 64% from 2011 levels. So you're saying the Philippines is now in the best position to compete.
Yes.
But when you look at infrastructure, when you look at power costs.
Yes, power cost. I guess the government. That's why the government needs also to do its own part, not just for our industry. I guess it applies to all the industries that are investing in the Philippines, both local and foreign. We know that among Asia, if we're not first, we're the second highest electricity rate. That's one of the biggest hindrances in order for us to move on. So I guess if the government just maybe does something or invests in something that might lower our electricity cost, I guess it is a very big factor in order for us to move on in terms of manufacturing, like Dr. Andrew was talking about a while ago.
Raymond, how is demand for your product so far? Are you seeing them rise
So far, the demand.
These embroidery machines, of course.
Embroidery machines, of course. Now there are so many China machines also here in the Philippines
China
now. Yes, but I guess what sets Barudan brand apart is that not only is it 100% made in Japan, but in terms of durability, in terms of long-term cost and investment, this will be a better investment compared to the China ones, because I have experienced it in our own factory. We have both the Barudan brand and the China brand. Ever since I started the Japanese Barudan brand, it never stopped. I hardly encountered any problems.
You know, it's not just the foreign investors that we're having a hard time convincing. Even our local brands are moving out of the Philippines. For example, I know of one specifically, a friend who owns a shoe business, a 41-year-old shoe business. Used to have 4 factories in the Philippines, had to downsize because they couldn't compete with Chinese shoes. They just have 1 now left here in the Philippines, the rest they import. Another big apparel brand, very big, we all know this brand. Instead of making their own t-shirts, pants here, they have China produce it. And if you look at the players who are expanding tremendously, these are the guys who don't produce here in the Philippines, but just import from abroad. How do you reverse the trend, change the story?
See, the China make goods, they make in mass. But the Filipino, they can make in individual requirement. Because as I said, the Filipino have heart. They can design something with the Filipino culture, with a heart.
So it's all about moving up the value chain. Can you talk to us about moving up the value chain, Raymond?
In terms of value, the first thing that gives value to it, if we really want to use the product itself. So I guess one of the important factors also is Filipinos themselves are proud of the products that they're producing here. If you're really proud of the shirt that you're doing here, I guess locally, given our very big market size, the Philippines itself, a very big population. So local demand only is already very big already, just by patronizing all local products. So even the entry of those foreign brands, I guess given the right support from the government for the local industries, I'm sure the local ones will be able to, if not much, maybe even exceed in some aspects of it.
Tell us something about this expo. Who are we expecting? Big players? Are we expecting them to close some deals, import, export more to the Philippines, set up shop here?
This is our first exhibitions, so the size is competitively not too big.
Okay.
And when I start in Vietnam in 1990, we only have 20 exhibitors. Now for this exhibition, we have 81 exhibitors from 9 countries and regions. So we are 4 times bigger than what I used to have when I start my Vietnam exhibition. Now in Vietnam, we have 1,500 exhibitors. So that means I hope Philippines can one day have hundreds and thousands of exhibitors in future.
And certainly see the revival of this industry. Raymond, there are estimates that this industry will grow 20%. The exports from the textile garments and the textile garments industry and wearables, exports from that industry to grow 20% this year to $1.2 billion. Are you confident with what you're seeing from your business, from your clients, what you're hearing on the ground? Are you confident we can actually grow that much?
Yes, as mentioned by Dr. Andrew before, if you think it's at the bottom, you really have to go up now. It's a vicious cycle. And as long as we work, private and local and the government sector, as long as they work hand in hand, I guess really we can move forward with this and hit that target.
On that note, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this morning, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.